I'm going to be attempting to create a Roblox Backrooms game with multiple levels, scary entities, creepy maps, all within 10 days. With the release of the new Backrooms movie, it seems that the internet has become obsessed with this horror concept, with people adding their own Backrooms levels, which I may be using to add interesting levels later in the video. And so I loaded into Roblox Studio and got to thinking. There's been plenty of inspiration online, from the Steam game Backrooms Escape Together to Minecraft mods like Found Footage, bringing the idea of the Backrooms into the game. The first thing I had to do was work on the first level, Level 0. Confusing, I know. And this will be the most recognised and iconic area in the entire game. Even if you're not a Backrooms fanatic, you've most likely seen this image somewhere before. The design of this level is actually pretty easy. It's basically an infinite network of mostly empty retro-styled office rooms, with yellow walls and buzzing fluorescent lights. The wider concept of the Backrooms is the idea of areas feeling off, and after a few minutes of testing stuff out, I ended with this design, which I really like the look of. And in case you're wondering why I'm doing this, with the new movie the trend has hit an all-time high, and that got me thinking, I wonder what it would be like to actually make a Roblox Backrooms game. I already had a simple plan of what I wanted to achieve. I wanted 5 to 8 Backrooms levels, starting at the lobby, which is the level I'm currently working on, and then having players escape to more and more levels until they finally make it back to reality. I thought this was a really strong idea, and so I decided to get working on the next part of the plan, the entity. This is the entity that chases the player throughout the Backrooms, and it will be our main antagonist for the first level. Each level has a different danger, but a common goal, escape. So in order to get this added, I went into the built-in Roblox toolbox in order to get the model. Look, I'm no modeler, so unless I wanted the entity to look like this, I knew I had to find a decent model. This looks pretty good. And now it was time to actually code it, and for that I took the code from my enemy pathfinding series, which should hopefully transfer over fairly easily. But unfortunately the code was, well, quite out of date, and no longer decided to work. So after a bit of help from a trusted source, it was finally working, following various waypoints until it sees a player, and once it does, it chases them until they go out of sight. This actually creates a really interesting dynamic within the game, as players will start to avoid open areas. But now that was done, it was time to actually make the map that the entity will be patrolling within. Okay, so this is the level 0 map that I've managed to make. So this is going to be the little spawn area, so you will spawn here, and then you will just have to find your way around the very creepy area, following arrows or not, looking at chairs in the floor, until you reach this room, which is the pitfalls, I believe it is, and then you've got to make your way across here and then down the stairs, which will lead you to level 1, or the second level of the Backrooms, which, as you can see, I've not made yet. Now that the first level was built, it was time to move on to the second level, which is called the Habitable zone. I'm just reading this off Google at the moment, which is basically just a massive parking garage. Okay, as you can see, this is going to be 400, if I can get it perfectly, by 200. On average. It might be a bit bigger, we'll move it around, but for now, if we just do this little entrance bit, I'm gonna have a little area that you can come out of and then enter the thing. I think we're gonna make it a slightly lighter floor as well. I've gone with this texture, but now I'm thinking that this could actually fit the pool rooms, which will be, I think, the next level after this one. So I don't want to use it twice necessarily, but I'm just trying to think, oh, that doesn't work. I then started building the little room that would take the players from the very end of the first level to the very start of the next level, and it was actually coming along pretty well. Something like this could actually work pretty well. You just cross the pitfalls and now you can come down these stairs and then you've entered the second level, which I think is really cool. And then you come out here and then this will be the second level. So let's get working on that. A bit of time later, I'd actually made a map that I was quite happy with. The plan was to have 3 stories of the parking garage, with items to be found on random levels, and with the exit to be on the very top floor. And speaking of the exit, I wasn't exactly sure how the players should escape, other than having to fix a broken elevator, which would take you to the next level. And since that kind of made sense, I decided to roll with it and ended up creating this. So yeah, this is the elevator, which acts as the exit to the second level. We've got a slightly suspicious wooden sign that will help direct you towards the elevator. And oh, you're wondering about that drop underneath the elevator? All that is, right, is a massive drop into the next level. That's it, that's all it is. But before we leave the habitable zone, there were a few things I wanted to add. The name of this level, Habitable Zone, comes from the feature of constant electricity and crates full of food and almond water, which I wanted to add to the game as a little restock for the player. And so I created this little crate and added a proximity prompt the players would interact with in order to be given some almond water, which you could then drink to do, well, nothing. So to fix that, I created a script that adds a sanity value to the player that slowly decreases over time, as well as a UI seen on screen to show your sanity meter. I then coded it so that you can fill your sanity meter up by drinking any almond water you collect throughout the game, which can be done by simply clicking when holding the bottle. Now we have a working sanity bar that slowly decreases until the player drinks almond water. It's time to finish off the second level with something to get the elevator working. When the player first finds the elevator on the top floor, it has this message next to it: temporarily out of order. They will also see a prompt next to it that says use fire service key, which will lead them to searching the level to find this key, which will be hidden somewhere within one of the 3 floors. And when testing this, I realised how slow it felt to walk around, and so I added a sprint feature, which I may have taken from another game I've been working on. But once the player finds the key, they can return to the elevator and use the keypad to unlock the door. And players might think, hang on, that actually looks like the pool room's texture, like the materials, and oh, there's a puddle on the ground. How weird. This brings us on to our next level, the pool rooms, which is technically level 37, canonically named Sublimity. This level is an expansive complex of interconnected rooms and corridors submerged in water, and this is actually quite a famous map, so I had plenty of inspiration from the internet.
Who just pulled that ladder up?
So I got to work creating spiral staircases, small corridors and large halls, and eventually it started looking like this, which I was actually really happy with. Okay, so this is what we've got so far with the pool rooms. It's actually quite a big area so far. We're obviously not anywhere near finished just yet, but we've got this spawn point, which, as you can see here, we use the fire service key to unlock this, and then we enter the elevator, the floor removes, and we fall down into the pool rooms. Obviously, we're gonna have a roof and everything to keep the immersion, but then you will spawn into the pool rooms and you will have to explore these interesting halls and try to find the exit. And something I've actually started doing is having darker areas. Like here I'm going to have a roof and it's going to be a lot darker, and then here it's obviously a lot lighter. These areas are inspired by another level of the Backrooms called the Dark Pool Rooms, as well as the Minecraft mod Found Footage, which also features these different biomes. And then we're going to have to build the exits somewhere around here. But yeah, pool rooms level is actually looking fairly good so far. Now it's time to finish up the pool rooms build and get working on the exit. And for that I decided to go to the wiki and see how the lore says the players should escape, and which level follows after. So a game called Escape the Backrooms has a level called Run for Your Life, which follows after the pool rooms, and so I decided to have a quick look at some of the gameplay.
Holy moly.
Do not mess up your mouse movement.
Yeah, this is where the game gets interesting. Level exclamation mark, yes, that's actually its name, is a level where you run through a long hallway with flashing lights and intense music. So for this level, my friend Darwin helped me design these halls in order to keep the atmosphere of the game alive. And this is the final product, which I'm actually really happy with. I also wanted to add different rooms that connected to the hallway that players would have to run through to keep it interesting, and to avoid them running consistently in a straight line. I then added some hospital beds that would block the hallway, making the little rooms a necessary path. I also added little details like small vents and exit signs that would be dotted around. The next thing I would need to do is add something that the players are running from, as right now there's no real fear or rush to get to the end, which feels underwhelming to say the least. So for this I decided to add a smiler, which will have similar mechanics to rush from doors, and will spawn once you are a few steps into the level. Now it's time for the end of the level, where players will finish up level Run for Your Life and be taken to the next level. Now, in the Escape the Backrooms game, this is called The End, which is a level where players have to collect tapes and insert them into the computer in order to unlock a door which acts as the exit. And since this seemed like a pretty fun level to make, I started designing it, with the aim, like the rest of the game, to make it feel slightly off. The next thing I had to do was add an entity that aimlessly roams the map and slows you down while you attempt to collect all the tapes. And for the entity itself, I actually found an old design that I had for a Stranger Things styled game that I never finished. So I added Bunny into the library and it worked perfectly. I then coded titles that appear when you enter each level, and the description of the library keeper tells you that Bunny is partially blind, meaning he can easily miss you over the bookshelves, but given a perfect line of sight, he will immediately be able to spot you and hunt you down. And a strategy I found is getting him stuck long enough to add the rest of the tapes and escape. I then coded the collection of the tapes as well as the computer receiving the tapes, and after looking into what would be the final level, I realised that canonically, the final level is a seemingly endless grey staircase, which would be extremely boring for a game. And so I decided to make the library map the final level. And honestly, I was really happy with how this level looked. And so I decided to basically leave everything as it is, especially since we were now running out of time. And I still had something else I needed to add. So the level, the end, is actually the end of the game, unlike the majority of Backrooms games. My next and last mission for this video is to create a lobby system, similar to Doors or 99 Nights in the Forest. Or well, most story games, where players can enter queues to join a world, where they will be able to play the game before returning to the lobby. And this was not an easy goal. I had never coded anything like this before, as all my previous games were single world, but thanks to this tutorial, I managed to figure it out and eventually got it working, meaning players can now join queues of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Also, my friend Darwin very kindly made the lobby itself. And so, once this was all coded and built, I decided to press play and test the entire game for myself. Okay, we're in, so we're going to go to this one, which is a solo one, and then we're going to be teleported to the official world, and then we're going to enter here, and then it'll teleport us. Oh my goodness, that is it's literally started right there. And then we just need to escape this area, and I actually know, okay, so there are actually a few ways you can go. This is not one of them. I'm going to go around here, and then around here, and here we are at the pitfalls. So we're just going to jump over here, and we've entered level 1. Here, I'm going to get some almond water from the crates, and then we're going to go try and find, oh, that is an unanchored part. We're going to get the key, and then we're going to come up to the elevator with the key, then use fire service key. Okay, now we enter the elevator, get flung down here, and now we're in the pool room. So I'm pretty sure it's, oh, I actually can't remember which way it was. I added a radio. I don't think that actually does anything, but I guess we've taken it. And here we go onto the pretty speedy level. So we can see the smiler there. We just got to run across here as quickly as possible. Let's do it. And the music changes, which is a bit scary, but I love it. Run in between there, and oh my goodness, it's catching up. Through here, about to hit the end. Oh my goodness. Okay, perfect. Right. As you can see, my sanity is quite low, so I'm just going to have a bit of almond water. Perfect, it's gone up, I think 20, was that? Okay, so we're going to grab as many of these as possible. The moment he sees me, it's like smart to just kind of run around a bit crazily and go for every single one of them. Because the moment he spots you, that's kind of it. Like, you can't really shake him. So if I do that... okay, we can escape, and... we're back. Okay, so that is the game, and it was finally done. You can now escape the final level, make it back to reality, and fully complete the game. There's still a bunch of stuff I'd like to add, so if you want to see me make more videos on this game, just let me know in the comments and by liking the video. Oh, and as promised, in my last video I said I'd show who was top on the leaderboard for my zombie survival game, and here are the results. And since you guys seem to enjoy that video, let me know if you want to see a video where I attempt to improve the game. But anyway, peace.